You're listening to The Psychedelic Couch. Before we delve into today's episode, which includes conversation around psychedelics, we want to remind our listeners that the use of illicit drugs carries significant risks and legal consequences. Psychedelic substances, including but not limited to LSD, psilocybin, DMT, and MDMA, are classified as illegal in many countries, including here in the UK. The possession, distribution, and consumption of these substances can result in legal penalties, including fines and imprisonment. Furthermore, the use of psychedelics can have profound effects on one's mental and physical health. While some individuals report positive experiences, such as expanded consciousness and therapeutic benefits, others may experience negative effects, such as anxiety, paranoia, and psychosis. These substances can also interact unpredictably with medications and exacerbate underlying mental health conditions. They are also not suitable for anyone under the age of 25. It's essential to approach the topic of psychedelics with caution and responsibility. The views and experiences shared in this podcast are for informational purposes only and should not be interpreted as encouragement or advocacy for the use of illegal substances. If you or someone you know is struggling with substance abuse, we encourage you to seek support from qualified healthcare professionals or local addiction support services. With that said, let's proceed with today's episode, keeping in mind the importance of informed discussion and harm reduction. So good morning, Charlene. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Morning. So nice to be here. Thank you.
So I thought I would start with introducing you so people know a little bit about who you are and the amazing work you do. So founder of the House of Kundalini, Charlene Belcher is a dedicated and passionate teacher, deeply committed to creating spaces for healing and connection through Kundalini yoga and sound therapy. Her retreat spaces offer a transformative experience for her students, emphasizing the power of community and coming together to heal and rediscover joy and purpose. By combining her love for Kundalini yoga, music and spirituality, Charlene creates a welcoming and uplifting environment for her students to explore and deepen their practice. Charlene, welcome.
Thank you very much. What a lovely intro.
It's so nice to have you here, and I've been really looking forward to this conversation for weeks.
Yes.
One or other thing has got in the way, so finally we're here. So I wondered if you could start by just telling the listeners a little bit about Kundalini. I'm sure it's something they've heard about. It feels to me like one of the schools of yoga that's really wrapped up in mystery and judgment. There seems to be a lot of negative press about Kundalini. So maybe you could just dispel some of that.
Yeah, I mean, Kundalini is... Yeah, there is this bad reputation sometimes, or I think if you Google Kundalini, a lot of people would Google like a Kundalini awakening, and there's a lot of negative press around it and negative stories around it, but it's a really powerful practice. It's a really powerful practice, can be powerful, and I think maybe those kind of stories are happening if people are not in a balanced way or not being led in a grounded way. But it's just the most incredible practice. I mean, it's transformed my life. And I think most people that are drawn to this practice end up having, and quite quickly, quite a transformational process within it. But basically, Kundalini yoga, it's a really ancient form of yoga. I met somebody once and I said to them, oh, I'm a Kundalini yoga teacher. And we got talking and they said, oh, Kundalini. So yoga before it was kidnapped.
Amazing.
It's just the most perfect description of it, because I think what's happened with yoga, especially in the West, and this gets talked about a lot, but it's been taken, and these really ancient practices have been taken from the East, brought over to the West, and what is really heavily focused on is the physical aspect. So, you know, you can find yoga in any gym. A lot of people think yoga is maybe a stretch practice or maybe something to tone your body or get you in shape, or it's really highlighted the physical element of yoga. But really the physical side, it's just one part of it that is really designed. You move the body physically, yes, absolutely. But it's designed to clear the body, to clear the energy pathways in order to just sort your head out. It gets you in a space where you can actually relax and where you can actually meditate. So although the physical element is a really important part of it, it's not the only element. So Kundalini is a really nice balanced mix of mantras, breath work, the physical aspect. We do move. There's a dynamic element to Kundalini, deep meditation, relaxation. Yeah, it's a really nice balanced mix of all of those. And I think the students that are coming to me, especially in the last couple of years, 80% of them will say, I've been doing yoga for a little while, or I've been drawn to yoga, but there's something missing. There's something missing for me. And you can go to a yoga class in a gym, or you can be doing certain practices for a while. And you get to a point where, okay, where's the next level to it? And that's when you're kind of focusing only on the physical. But the spirit is calling for more. The soul is yearning for a little bit of a deeper connection. And that's what Kundalini offered me. And I think that's what a lot of my students relay back to me is they feel that deep connection within it and afterwards. And then you then feel that connection in your whole life. It's not just when you're in the class. The transformation doesn't happen when you're in that 90-minute yoga class. It's when you then go back out into your life. And let's say you start practicing the next 6 months of your life, you feel this change in every aspect. You feel the change in your relationships, in your friendships, in the way that you're relating to the world, to nature, your connection to yourself. Suddenly foods you're really sensitive to, and maybe becoming much more aware of what you're putting in your body, what you're listening to, what you're watching, who you're around. But they call Kundalini the yoga of awareness. So it has that name attached to it. It just makes you so much more aware. But aware of yourself, aware of your own thoughts, aware of actually what you're sensitive to, aware of other people's emotions, energies, vibrations. It just brings that sensitivity to everything around you, everything within you. And I think that's what we are all really calling for right now, some kind of deeper connection. I think our social structure, we're almost programmed to disconnect. And that's kind of glorified, has been in the last age that we've been living in, this disconnection. And that's where religion came in, actually, hundreds of years ago. It bred a connection that people were searching for, but we're now realizing that that connection isn't outside of us. It's not the gurus, all the people that are bringing these yogas to us, even the gurus and the spiritual leaders. It's not even in them. People have been searching for it in other people. It's in you. It's all in you. And this is what you learn through Kundalini Yoga. You suddenly realize God, the guru, whatever it is people are looking for to attach themselves to, it's within you. It's right there. And when you're in a class, you feel that, and then you're so changed on so many levels, physiologically, energetically, and then you go out into the world, and those connections then become stronger and stronger. It's so much more than I think what people think yoga is. But yoga means union. If you want a very simple way to translate the word yoga means unions, to reconnect. But it's reconnecting back to yourself. There's nothing outside of you that you need to connect to. It's in. You've got to go within.
Yeah, bringing that attention in, or knowing that we have everything that we need within us, kind of connecting into that divine wisdom, that divine knowing, because we're all in search of it, and it's always external, right? But just stopping and taking a moment to really know, to find that balance, to find that congruence within us.
Yeah. And it's even things like chemically, it's within you. Painkillers, we have our own bespoke chemical pharmacy in our brain that we have access to. So it's not just, connection to nature, let's say. It's loads of other things that we look for externally, things like self-acceptance, but things as, instead of taking paracetamol, we have pain relief within us. The body's just magic. It's so magic. And I think Kundalini encompasses all of those things. It has so many tools to just get us through the lives that we're leading at the moment, the
Yeah.
chaos that we're in. And we need pain relief, but we need balance, we need harmony, we need connection. And this, yeah, this practice gives you all of these tools to just navigate through the madness that is going on out there.
Mm,
And if you can find a little bit of harmony within you, because you're not going to find it out there, it's chaos out there. It's fast paced, it's mental, it's wild. But if you can give yourself that space and find that little moment to breathe, or that little bit of harmony and calmness and stillness of your heart within, that's all we've got.
absolutely. And you mentioned painkillers there. We were chatting this morning before our interview, and I was saying there's been so much going on and it's all really exciting, but it feels overwhelming. And I've noticed the last couple of days, this tension headache, kind of, that band when you just feel like, oh God, there's too much. And I thought, I know what I need to do. Let's come back. And you sent me a while ago these amazing little, what we call pocket yoga, right? Little videos. And I thought, that's what I need to do in this moment. So I spent 20 minutes and I could just feel the tension move from my head as I reconnect to the body, right? Feeling that aliveness. And I always finish with like a couple of minute breath of fire to one of Florence and Machine's songs, just
Yeah.
really pump it. And then that's it. It's like, wow. I don't need the pills. It's okay. And again, the perception of stress that, oh, I've got too much going on. It's just a belief. I can let go of that. I'm fine. I'm safe.
Yeah.
In this moment, all is well. And I think the more we do that, or if you have a regular practice anyway, then when those little spikes happen, you know what to go to. Just a little meditation, maybe do a song, a dance, whatever it is that
Yeah.
just really connects with you, just to bring yourself back. Because you're right, the moment we engage too much with what's out there, well, that triggers the overwhelm even more, right? We can feel ourselves kind of going into a hyper aroused, well, for me it's hyper aroused state, but for others hypo aroused. But just bring yourself back into that window of tolerance.
But that's what's amazing about Kundalini yoga. It works.
And
It just
quickly.
works quickly. You don't need to have a belief system in something. It
Mm,
just works. Like technologically, it's designed to work really, really quickly. And the age that we're living in, we don't have time. We don't have
mm,
90 minutes a morning to do a yoga class. And they say what you can get in Hatha in 20 years, you can get the same in Kundalini yoga within 3 months.
mm,
It's a practice that works fast. You can do a breath for 2 or 3 minutes and you completely change your state.
mm.
And you'll feel, God, that really worked.
Mm. Absolutely. No, for me with trauma work, with the especially with EMDR, the kind of stabilization, the early phases of the protocol, you really want to get people back into their body, regulated breath, using mantras, using the somatic work to really get into their system to be able to regulate. So you can then take people into the trauma. This is so fundamental for my work as a therapist, for doing that groundwork, helping people to find stability and grounding.
Yeah. And that release often comes through the physical body.
Mm,
Really simple things. It doesn't have to be what you would consider classic Kundalini yoga or classic yoga. You can just put a song on and just dance for 3, 4 minutes.
mm,
Move the body physically, shake the arms out. You could put a breath with that if you want to, but really simple things. Yeah, it's just we all need it so much right now, that
mm,
release, that physical release. And it's the physical body that gives us that access to the other states. If we can hit, that's why, that physical side is so important. But if we can use the physical body in that way to release what we need to release the chemicals that can be released for certain things, if you've got a bit of knowledge behind what you're doing and why, yeah, we all need it, but it can be really, really simple.
mm. Can you tell us more about the age that we're living in? You're thinking about the yogic scriptures and the Aquarian age. That might be really interesting for listeners to learn about.
It's very interesting when you learn about that, especially as we've just kind of, or we're coming out of, or we've just kind of come out of the cusp period. So we've been in the cusp period of moving from one age to a new age. And I suppose we're the only generation really that has lived within and between these two ages. So when you start to learn about the Piscean age and the Aquarian age, it's really obvious. It's really clear that we're shifting into something completely new and you can feel it. So it's not just a concept anymore or a theory. I've got experience from how I felt 20 years ago to how I feel and what I feel is coming. It makes it much more relatable that we're kind of going through it. But we've just come out of an age, the Piscean age. So it's an age that is, each age runs for a couple of thousand years. So all the numbers are different, really, depending on where you look, but around that span of time. So we've just come out of the Piscean age, which was quite, it's a very direct age. It's got more of a masculine energy attached to it. And it was more about the I, the ego. If you think back to kind of those images you see of the 80s, New York, people walking down the street, women in suits, high powered, huge shoulder pads, very driven, very successful, but a much more direct and kind of insular time to be in, much
And
more masculine.
hierarchical, yeah. And I guess imagine hierarchical. I was thinking hundreds of years ago, or thousands, kind of the hierarchy of often a man at the top of a system, a kind of king, and the feudal system underneath that.
Very much top-down approach.
Mm.
Governments coming in, church coming in, those kind of things. So we're moving out of that age and into an age, the age of Aquarius. So if you know anything about astrology, then you can attach those to those ages. But the age of Aquarius is really more, much more feminine. So we're moving into this feminine time, but it's much more humanitarian. It's less I, and it's more about we. What can we achieve together as a collective? A lot of people being woken up spiritually. And if you think about the song The Age of Aquarius that came out in the 60s, and that whole movement about freedom of expression and the movement around freedom of sexuality, you can see where that age started to come in. And we're moving into that cusp period where people are starting to look for freedom, and maybe they don't want to be told what to do, and maybe they have their own ideas, and maybe war isn't a good thing after all, and people are questioning things and realizing that when we come together, there's more movements happening.
Mm.
And, the heavy focus that we've got on the moment about the planet and, these young groups coming together, the power of people coming together, but the energy of the feminine coming through as well. So you can
Mm.
see that really strongly. But then if we zoom out a little bit, we're also in an age which spans millions of years. We're in the age which we call the Kali Yuga, and that runs across a really long span of time. And it's the age of destruction. It's the age of things collapsing, things falling. It's the age of wars. It's the age of, people not really being that nice to each other. And I suppose when you go into that, you can start to see the kind of doom and gloom of it all.
Mm.
But for me, I only see the positive. Like, we're meant to be in these times. There's a reason for each of these ages. It's been written in the stars for thousands of years. We are exactly where we're meant to be as a planet, as a globe, as a population. And we're in this age where things are falling. So think about the governments, the way that they're falling right now. That has to happen in order for the people to realize their own power. We're losing our trust in top-down corporations. We're losing our trust in the government. We're questioning why we're being told what to do. And it creates this resurgence of people realizing that the power is within them. And
Mm.
we've got to go through this age of destruction, this age of losing trust and losing faith in things outside of us, in order to come back to, we do a full circle back to what we call the golden age. And we're not that far off from that golden age. Right now, we're going through the darkest times. This is a very dark age that we're going through. In order to get back to this golden age where we realize we are source. We
Mm.
have unlimited power within us. There's no disconnect. And at the moment, we're at a point of we've never been further, we've never been more disconnected from the truth, from source, from power, from God, whatever you want to call it, from universal consciousness. As a population, we've never been further from that. But we're getting back to that. And in order to get back to that, we have to go through this dark time of destruction. So I find it quite reassuring knowing that, okay, this is meant to be. I chose to be here at this time. And all of us workers at this time, these empaths, these sensitive people who are coming back to remembering this knowledge, we're meant to be here to bring other people, to bring that knowledge back to the forefront of other people's minds and lives. We've got a big job to do right now. But it's such an exciting time, we're going through this huge shift. Everybody can feel it. It's not just the weirdos anymore.
Mm.
There's one vegetarian in your whole village, wasn't there 20 years ago? It's not just us strange ones anymore. This is common thinking. And that has happened in what, 10 years? 20 years? This is mainstream. And how exciting is that?
Absolutely, and you can feel it in the community, right? You can feel communities of people coming together, and I don't know, I'm just thinking of a couple of centres that I know locally that have popped up, and people that you wouldn't expect to be kind of going on retreats or doing sound bath or up for Kundalini. It's really, there is an energetic sense of people waking up to some of this work, and knowing that internally that we hold that power, that truth, and reconnecting that to that.
It's
I
rising.
really sense that. Yeah.
It's rising. And although this whole wellness industry is very trendy
Mm.
and a lot of people are making a lot of money out of it, and it's not always authentic, but that doesn't matter. If maybe people have found it through Instagram, or it doesn't matter. What it's showing is the sign of the times is people are searching for something more. And that's where Kundalini yoga comes in, because people are finding that connection through that, or they're finding themselves through that. And that's all that we're looking for, that reconnection back to ourselves.
Mm. Or connection into that bliss, connection into that, that knowing, or being able to move into a sort of parasympathetic state of, it's okay, I'm okay. And I was thinking as you were talking, often clients, that in the presentation, there's something about the inability to surrender to where they are. I'm here and I want to be there. Why aren't I there? That's the battle, right? It's the bridge between the reality and this perceived place that, when I'm there, all be well. But actually just acceptance and surrendering in the moment, this is all we have. And finding the bliss and the joy in that.
Yeah.
From there, that's where healing takes place. That's when, we can really embody our lives and find joy.
And that's the Piscean age, that moving forward, busyness, go, success, doing.
Mm.
And it's left us in a place, now that we're in this new Aquarian age, it's left us in a place of, there is nowhere in our lives that people factor in rest.
Mm.
Or just where in your day do you put it in, an hour of your day, 20 minutes of your day, to just experience bliss, ecstasy, harmony, true connection? We don't even have 10 minutes of our day where that's factored in. Our lives are so full, and it comes from this real driven. And there is, again, there's another whole movement of, we need to get back to a place of doing nothing. It's okay to do nothing. It's okay to rest. It's okay to not be busy all the time or have plans. It's really difficult in this time and the age that we're living in, and the way our lives are. You have to really be conscious to put that in. It's effort, because people take your time, or things get in the way, or you want to do this. You have to be really, really conscious to put that in, but that is just so vital. And we're realizing that more and more how important rest is. You know, we're all in fight or flight all the time.
Yeah, it's almost in the doing nothing that we actually experience ourselves, right?
That's where it's at. How else is it going to get in if we're just so busy all the time? But yeah, what does Joe Dispenza say? You have to make a date with the divine.
Yeah.
You have to make a date with the divine, and you turn up, not like, oh, I don't want to meditate, I can't be arsed, or oh God, I haven't got time for this. Or you turn up for that date, you are ready, you are on, you bring energy to that date, and you sit down and you meet yourself.
Mm.
And it's coming to it with that level of energy rather than it's something you're forced to do or you should do or everybody else is doing. You make a date with the divine and you keep it. And when you have these incredible experiences where you're in another dimension, you're in the quantum field, when you're in those states experiencing pure bliss, my God, can you not wait to get to that date the next day? You know, you can't miss a day. Why would you want to live a day without that feeling? It becomes really addictive.
Well, and also the takeaway that I had, especially from going to one of his retreats last year, is that the more time we spend in that place, the less time we need to be these crazy anxious, people trying to influence matter. It will just come and it will flow in its own way, and whatever is needed will just show up on your door. Rather than spending the hours pushing and shoving in the way that we do, actually more time spent in meditation, in the quantum field, just connecting with yourself, connecting with source, everything just flows better.
We just don't need to do that much.
No,
We
we get
don't
out the
need to
way.
do, your only job is to get yourself out the way.
That's it, right? It's
Yeah,
constantly taming,
yeah,
taming the beast, taming that ego, and when your body wants to move, kind of telling it, down, boy, you will stay.
yeah,
That's all of our life's mission, right?
absolutely.
Getting the ego out the way, training it, you are the master. It works for you rather than the other way around.
Absolutely. And yeah, I read something from Michael Singer today. He does The Untethered Soul, which is just he's incredible, amazing work. But it's our entire life's work to just realize that the mind isn't you, it's a part of you that you hear, you witness, you listen to, but you're in control. Just, and I think when we realize that, when we spend time, as you say, spend time in the quantum field, in that place of connection, you realize that everything out here is, it's just not real. And we do have to go through this world. We have to go through the 3D world. We do have a physical body. We do have an ego, which we need. We have to go, we're humans. We're
Mm,
living life in this 3D reality. But when you spend all of that time in that place where you realize this just isn't real, nothing really matters that much.
mm,
You've got to take action and you have to work and you have to make money and all those things, but nothing really matters that much. And when you can access things so much more easily and simply when you go into those different states, we just do way too much. And that's again the Piscean age, but we think we have to work to get everything, to strive. Life is a struggle. You have to earn things. Well, not really. As long as you clean your vibration, send out a clear vibration of exactly what it is that you want, what is your heart's desire, and actually what you're here to give the world, what you've been put here to offer to the world. Everyone's here for a purpose, whether it's seemingly a tiny thing or seemingly a huge thing. We're all here for a purpose. And once you connect into what it is that you're here to offer, because really this is just experience. We're here for ourselves to learn and to have experience and to enjoy as well. But we're also here to, let's say you've got a talent for music. You're a gift to the world. You're for the other people, to lift other people up. We really make it about ourselves. But when you go from that place of becoming aligned and sending your vibration out, that what it is you want to do to help others, what it is you want to do to offer to the world, what you've got to give, my God, the path just clears. Everything is easy. Everything just falls right in front of you. Any obstacles just clear.
Yeah.
And that is our job, to just clear your vibration, come back into alignment, come back into balance, come back to connection. Remember, this is not real. This is what you have to offer. You're here as you're of service to other people, to lift other people up, to help others in whatever way that is.
And remember, when the ego kicks in, that it's got two very basic functions. Number one, it wants to draw in the things that it likes. It wants pleasure, give me the thing I like, and push away the stuff that we don't like, right? It's actually very basic.
Mm-hmm.
So notice that impulse that's there within us, and letting it go, maybe surrendering with what comes up, and doing it even though it feels uncomfortable, kind of going along that, and just riding it out rather than being, the puppets of the ego.
We're so reactive.
So reactive.
We're so reactive. And what we were saying earlier about Kundalini yoga, that's the awareness. Being aware of what is happening here. Oh, my mind wants this. Okay, witness it. Take a moment. And Kundalini yoga gives you this capacity. It gives you this space to just breathe. Take a moment. Witness what's happening. Choose how you want to act rather than react. We're designed to react really quickly. And someone says something to you, you react back straight away. But what if you could just take a second and think, okay, how interesting they've just said that. This is very clearly not about me. It's very clearly they're having a reaction, or they're triggered by what I just said because of this, that, the other. It gives you that moment to step outside of, we so easily get swept up. And it gives you that moment to step outside and to really assess, oh, actually, isn't this, you're curious. Gabor Mate talks about that curious, compassionate curiosity. How interesting that I just reacted to my husband that way. Isn't that interesting? There's no judgment, just, okay, I'm clearly triggered. I wonder what that is.
And being kind to that part, kind of noticing, I wonder how old that part is. Where does that come from? Noticing the age of those parts, the different narrative that they have, being able to parent those parts, or notice that something's happening in this moment, kind of soothe that part. Just remind it, I've got your back. It's okay. We're just gonna carry on in this dialogue. It's fine. We
Don't believe everything that you think.
absolutely.
Realize the separation between what is happening with your mind and what is real. It's in these practices, any practice you choose, breath, meditation, whatever, mindfulness, it's in there that we see the separation. There are two parts of us. There's the mind, and then there's what's actually real. There's who you actually are. I find it all so fascinating.
Can you tell us more about your journey, Charlene? Like, how did you get to this work?
Yeah, I find that also, I've had quite an interesting story. I mean, and it's what has bred such a fascination for me in all of this. I'm quite an analytical, I really enjoy to analyze, people, situations, my own mind. Um, but I think my own struggles really create this, because we're all looking to understand ourselves, what's happened, why, what's happening, and why, to understand other people, to relate. But yeah, I mean, I came to Kundalini yoga, it finds you. It's really hard then to go back and remember what happened, because it finds you, but it found me in just the most perfect time. I'd just gone through 5 years of chronic pain in my collarbone joint. So I was in quite a tricky moment. I then got pregnant. So I was pregnant with my eldest. He's nearly 9. And I just, randomly, there's a whole story about how I randomly found this Kundalini yoga teacher. I would think I was looking for pregnancy swimming classes, but found her, and she had this experience as well when she read my email. This bolt of lightning shot down her spine, And she had a 3-month-old baby and was in a deep postnatal depression. She wasn't even teaching at that time. Read my email and was like, "Oh, I'm not teaching." And then this bolt of lightning shot down her spine, and she was like, "Okay, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it." So she taught me in my final 6 weeks of pregnancy. I'd had a really bad morning sickness for the first 4 months, tricky time with work, but it just completely transformed my pregnancy. And then I went on to have just the most beautiful labour, completely pain-free, the most gorgeous experience. And then just the most beautiful, first few years of my little boy's life. I was just in this honeymoon period. So yeah, Kundalini had a really, really obvious, what's the word, effect on my life, on my experience at that time. I think I'd done about 6 Kundalini classes ever. And I then found myself signing up to the teacher training course. And on that first weekend, I remember thinking, how on earth have I arrived here? What is this? How did I even get here? I didn't even remember signing up. But you're just following. And I think as long as you just always pick up those breadcrumbs, that was very clearly my path. And then by about the 3rd month of the teacher training, after 5 years of this chronic pain in my collarbone, I had one conversation at the dinner table with the lead trainer about the pain. And she suggested, why don't you look at your teenage years? And I was like, no, there's nothing there. I'd already done loads of work over the 5 years, gone way back to the womb, gone past life, gone to my younger years. There was a lot there to work on. And I thought, there's just nothing there. I've clearly blacked it all out. I then turned up at my yoga class the following day. Nobody else turned up to the group class, of course. So it was just me and this other teacher, and I explained the experience of what happened on the training weekend. And she said, "Okay, so there's no one else here. Tell me everything about your teenage years." So I basically spent 45 minutes explaining, talking it through, and I have never had pain in my collarbone ever since. I couldn't move my hand, away from my body really, and full range of movement. My collarbone still sticks out a little bit, but I've never had pain in my collarbone again after 5 years of serious pain, dropping to my knees in excruciating pain. Gone. Never again had any pain there. So that was within the first 6 months of finding Kundalini yoga. My little boy was 4 months old when I started. So I'd been doing Kundalini for 6 months and barely doing it. So what an experience. And yeah, I'd already done a lot of research into, the metaphysical world. I think when the medical system has no answers for you, the pains, the health issues I seem to have are all mysteries, which is perfectly designed because nobody out there can help me. So it's created this, this massive impulsion for finding things like the metaphysical, what is actually going on here? What is this pain if it can't be explained by some, I was seeing some of the best doctors in the world, in the UK and in the world. No one could help me. And of course you find it in the places that you're meant to find it. It catapults you onto a journey. And as soon as I would come off that journey, the pain would become really intense for me and I'd be straight back on.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a gift.
And a reminder that the body does keep the score, right? It's held in your system. I have a similar experience with pain actually in my shoulder following an assault when I was in South Africa. And, I tried lots of different techniques to shift it and move it, and eventually went to see an orthopedic surgeon. And he really took my point that there was trauma related, that there had to be trauma related to what had happened. And not that it was particularly hurt in that incident. There was a little bit of a knock, but it was too coincidental that would happen. And then 10 days later, this shoulder is frozen. So he was really supportive and kind of said, take your time, do what you need to do. There are a few structural things going on which absolutely could be causing this pain. So left it with me, and I think it was my first or second weekend of my EMDR training. We had to do an exercise, so I used that event to process. And a day or two later, it had completely gone. And for me, it was about pushing, being able to push them away. To be able to allow the body to finish that experience that it had got shut down, and just the kind of pushing away, processing, allowing it to unfurl. It completely went. So I really thank that surgeon for not kind of pushing, and that gives me confidence that there are practitioners, medical practitioners out there that do acknowledge the mind body, the huge mind body link, and our need to be able to find other ways for healing, because so often medical interventions take place, and that ultimately isn't the solution. You then chase the pain, so the pain ends up elsewhere, because that's not the problem. It wasn't the structural issue in your collarbone or my shoulder. It's something else. It's unfinished trauma that needs to be processed.
We're given the physical body in order to experience the
Mm,
world through our senses, and the body just is a messenger.
mm,
What's going on? It's really just trying to tell you something. And whether it's just like a little whisper, or whether it starts to become like this screaming inside, like, deal with me. And what else other than a chronic pain or a chronic illness, what else is more of a driver to get to it? And chronic pain was a really interesting one for me, because it doesn't quite hinder your life that you're bedridden or that you're hospitalized, or you can kind of get on with normal life. You look normal, you carry on as normal, but there's this underlying thing that is really altering your experience, actually. Everything around you in your life can be great, which it was for me, but there's just this one thing that it really creates this drive to get to it. But the body knows, and I've looked at my numerology quite a lot in the last few years, and it was fascinating because the numerology described everything about me as physical body. So for example, the work that I do will be through my physical body. So I teach yoga, I used to teach horse riding. So, one of my gifts is the physical body. And so then all of my lessons will come through the physical body. Mentally, I don't really struggle, but all of my lessons will be physical body. And when I learnt that, it wasn't that long ago, it was like the final piece of understanding what was going on for me. Because I have some other kind of health issues that I'm struggling with, but it's all physical body. But that is the way, universe, source, whatever, that is the way that messages will be processed for me. It will be through my physical body. So it will be chronic pain. So it's like, listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. There's something going on. So I have to then dig deeper to try and decode it. There's an invisible illness or chronic illness going on, and it's my body saying to me, we need you to do this, we need you to be here, try this, and it's just your job to decode.
Well, and neurologically, we know that it's the same center of the brain that generates physical pain as emotional pain. There is no difference. So
Mm.
this, your brain is scanning, looking for danger. And interestingly, if we look at adverse childhood events, so ACE scores, people with higher ACE scores are more likely to have issues with chronic pain. The brain doesn't know the difference
No,
between
the
the
brain
two,
doesn't know the
and it's for
difference.
us to learn. That's, oh, how interesting, this knee or this part of my body's really hurting. What do I need to do? The body is, or the whole system is saying, you're turning your back on me, pay attention, there's danger here.
Yeah. Even if it's just that you get headaches when you're tired, your body's just saying, can we rest a bit? And
Mm,
the sooner you can see those signs, you can just get the jump on it. You're starting to listen to your body. There's a lot of talk about the mind-body connection. But for me, that's insinuating that there is a disconnect, or there's a thing and a thing that has a connection to each other. It's all one and the same thing.
mm.
The vagus nerve is running through the body, it's running into every cell, and it's informing the brain. They say about the second brain in the gut. It's often the body that is informing the brain, telling you, okay, I've got some pain here. Can you send me this chemical? I'm feeling this. Can you send, there is no disconnect. We are all one and the same thing.
And even mind, I suppose, when we think about mind, that separates. It's more conscious, right? It's this consciousness, and that it's
Mm.
that it's all encompassing, in our system, in your system, we are connected to everything.
People think the mind sits up in the brain. And when people talk about the mind, you instantly go to your head to talk about what's going on in the head. But the mind it doesn't live in the head. There's that concept, but the mind, you are this being of energy, and you radiate that energy, you vibrate it out, emanate this energy from you. This is your radiance, your presence. But it's your whole being, it's every system, it's every organ. Everything's talking to each other, everything informs the other. Your lymphatic system, if that's blocked, the energy can't travel. All of our systems, our whole hormonal system, and if one needs healing, the whole thing needs healing. So if you look at shoulder pain, back pain, how many people struggle with back pain, but it could be a lymphatic issue. Because if there's a block in the lymphatic system in somewhere, let's say the lymphatic system in the stomach is blocked, or in the digestive system, it's going to cause a blockage there, immune issues. But maybe it's not actually the stomach, it's the lymphatic system that needs to be drained, it's causing a block. A lot of mid-back pain can be caused from blockages around the digestive system. And when, one needs healing, the rest needs healing.
And I'm right in thinking, right, that Kundalini is a technology to be able to do that, or to be able to access and to clear some of those blocks and connect that wisdom, right?
Yeah, because it looks as the body, there's especially with the medical world and how prevalent and important the opinion of the medical world is right now. But what the medical world does is separates everything, and it believes that nothing works together. If there's a problem with your eye, there's a problem with your eye. And it's not looking at that connection of the whole being. That includes the way that your emotions and your energy and your thoughts will be informing the physical body as well. But Kundalini looks at you as a whole thing. If your energy is out, you're realigning the energy so that energy can flow through the body physically, let's say. So then things like back pain ease. That problem with your knee, okay, I'm learning self-acceptance. Yeah, you're getting at it from all angles.
Mm.
It's really a journey within yourself. Like we're saying, all of these physical things. Once you really get to the root, and that's when you have to go inside and find the root, find what's driving the pain or the illness or the emotional issue, or relationship. Why am I attracted to these certain people? And Kundalini Yoga will get to all of that because it's giving you that space to just come back to yourself. That's where you start to see and realize what's happening here. It's just all so interesting, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah. And I'm thinking about sound, music and sound, because I know you use sound in your work, and you've just started the Light Club with your wonderful husband. Can you tell us more about, the importance of sound as in terms of sound bath, but also music in your work?
Yeah, music has been really important. I use it a lot in my classes and different types of music. But music really, it really helps you to feel. Really helps you to feel, and it helps you to release. And if you've got emotions stored, and anybody can relate to that, a love song comes on, you feel the energy of that person, what they've created, why they're singing that, the pain they might be going through, and it breeds that kind of similar response in you. A love song can make you cry. Any beautiful piece of music can move you. Music moves you emotionally. But there's a vibrational match as well. But if you think of mantra, we use mantra a lot in Kundalini Yoga, but also just through singing, it's just so primal. It's something that we've used for thousands of years to bring us together as a community. And when you sing together, or when you chant mantra together as a group, all of your hearts start to beat in a coherent way. So you all come into synchronization. You're all in sync. Your hearts are beating in an ordered pattern. Isn't that just magic? I think the fact that we even know that information is magic, but we feel that that's what is happening without the science behind it anyway. You can feel that connection that you've got with the room. And it was used, in tribal gatherings, it was used to heal people to bring community together, to raise spirit, to raise your vibration, to connect with the divine. Think of the drum, that sound of the drum, that very primal sound and that vibration that hits. Yes, it hits your physical body, which we can feel, but we've got this auric field that spans outwards from us up to a meter in each direction. And we only know that it travels a meter because that's as far as the machines can detect it as of the way science is right now. So who knows how far our field can actually reach. But that vibration hits your field, it changes your vibration. It can change, in very simple terms, it can just change how you feel. It can make you feel better. It can make you feel a bit more energized. If you're going out on a Saturday night, you can put house music on and you can feel, okay, let's go, we're ready. But house music, why was there such a movement of house music in the 90s mixed with people taking ecstasy?
Mm.
House music holds the same frequency of the heart. It's the 528 hertz, holds the same frequency of the heart. So house music opens the heart. It breeds oxytocin, floods you with these incredibly powerful bonding hormones.
Mm.
So we use a lot of house music,
Mm.
mainly because I love it. And then I've gone in to find the backstory of why it's actually good for us. So I've got a good reason to play it. But, the light club, it's just the most, Kundalini can be seen as quite serious, and going to a yoga class and these spiritual classes, it can all be quite serious. And, you know, let's just we're here to have fun. We're here to
Mm.
enjoy. Sometimes you can just smile while you're practicing or dancing, or let's just can we just lighten it all up a little bit? It can just be casual and fun and just joy and freedom. And that's why we created the Light Club, for just people to be able to immerse themselves in incredible music, incredible loud music in a room of people. There's no alcohol. So there's no one in the corner you're watching thinking, okay, how drunk are they? Okay, this could kick off at any second. There's no edgy vibe. You're all on the same wavelength, you're all on the same level. We know now that all your hearts are now beating in the same way. We're all on that same vibration, and you're just there to enjoy. And music it can take you into really deep altered states.
And like you say, that we are the pharmacy, releasing endorphins, having that experience of really feeling connected with yourself, with those around you, and being totally sober.
Totally sober. That's vital,
Mm.
because then you can really access some really cool stuff and just go into this really deep, immersive internal experience through music. I mean, we use the headphones, so it's like a silent disco style. So it creates this gorgeous meditation. And if the body starts, you don't have to be a dancer. You can just turn up and just have the music in your headphones and see it as a meditation. But if the body starts to move, just go with it. And things start to happen that you can't explain and you cannot question. You just go with it. Maybe the body starts to shake, or you start to have, quite a few people have these really trippy experiences where, I don't know, maybe ancestors are coming in, or they're hearing messages, or they're having visions. But, we're doing things physiologically. We're releasing DMT, we're, activating the pineal gland. We're releasing all of these amazing chemicals that are right there for us to release if we just know how. But they're there so that we can connect. It's all the design of the body. We just are now coming back to a place where we're remembering that we've got these. I mean, look at my labour. I had pain-free labours. Nobody thinks that that's a thing. But of course, women were designed to give birth. So there can't be this incredible miracle of birth and creating a baby. And then, God has just gone, oh, but fuck it, it's going to be really painful. We're just going to leave you to it. We've got you to this point, but you're on your own. Of course, there is this whole barrel of pain relief, of endorphins, of oxytocin, in order to make it this what can be a really beautiful experience. But again, it's we get in the way of that.
Yeah.
So not to go on about labor, but through labor, your only job is to get your mind out of the way, relax, let it happen. Your body and the baby will do the job. It's when our minds get in the way. It's when fear comes in. It's when sterile medical rooms and awful lighting get in the way, and people that are nervous and trying to control the labor and how this is going to go, and safety and liability all come into play. But when we remove all of that fear, labor's a very natural process.
Mm.
The body's designed to get you through it and make it a nice experience. I think that just goes for saying with all things, we've got the access to this cool stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and I was just thinking how important it is that we utilize this now. I was looking at some research that was saying in the States, it's something like $12,500 or over $12,000 per person spent on healthcare a year. That it's something like 20 cents of each dollar. Americans are not living longer. For the first time their life expectancy is going down. They consume like 85% of opioids. We have a medical massive problem on our hands. We need to find other ways to be able to create our own healing, now more than ever.
Yeah, it's there. We just need to know how to tap into it. And I don't discount the medical world when you need it. I just had an experience where I needed a hospital for 4 days. I was in another country, and again, your body knows. I felt immediately, okay, now I need a doctor. Get me to a doctor now. And when you need it, and it is so amazing that it is there. I'm always so grateful for it when I need it, or the kids need it, or if your leg falls off, get it sewn back on. Like, that's what it's there for. But I think Deepak Chopra said that's 10% of what you actually need the medical world for. The rest of the 90%, we could probably crack it on our own, actually.
Or if we could work on some of the stress that's underlining a lot of conditions, then our need reduces as well. But the kind of go to the medical model isn't working, and it's not sustainable.
It's actually quite new when you look at it over the span of time and humanity, and it's actually quite a new introduction. And we're going through the process of feeling it all out. And I suppose we're kind of guinea pigs, aren't we, over the last 150 years of how this is is it working? What's working? I mean, science is incredible. There's studies that they do on meditation and the brain and what's actually happening in the brain when we're doing these practices. How cool that we've got that. We can measure the magnetic field, we can see our auras, we can all this incredible stuff. But I suppose we're in a time where we're just feeling out what we need. Okay, maybe we don't need as much intervention here. Maybe it was something to do with a trauma from this, that, the other. But that mentality is really changing. I think that's what COVID offered us, actually. As catastrophic as it was, I think it needed to be something so huge that people felt so let down, and it made them lose their faith in top down. It made them lose their faith in the medical world. And it just gave those extra few people the chance to question. We didn't really question before. Your doctor told you what to do, you did it. You had that trust. You wouldn't have questioned anything before, really. But now we're coming into this time where most people are questioning, do I need that? Hold on, but how come why does he know more about it than I could? Because the information's there for everybody now. If you're having an issue, you need a dietitian, or your child needs a dietitian, the mother will turn up and know more about that child's specific case than the dietitian might. We're coming into a time of equality. No one knows more than anybody else. Some people are just more well studied in other subjects, but we're coming into that point of equality.
And what was fascinating that you've talked about before is how this was written in these ancient yogic scriptures, that in the Aquarian age there would be this leveling out of knowledge, that a move away from the hierarchical, which is, I find fascinating, right?
Fascinating. It's all laid out. People are really panicking right now. We're in a really stressful, dark time, and people are panicking. But I think if we remember, there's a reason to it all. I think, because of the knowledge I have of the Vedic scriptures and astrology, I look into a lot and find really reassuring. this has been written in the stars for years. It's not anything that we need to kind of panic about. It's just a way of, even, global warming, it's just a way of the planet rebalancing itself. And when it's done with us, it'll kick us off and it'll get really hot and then it will go really cold and then it might go really hot again. It's got these cycles that it works on. And, we have cycles that we work on, cycles through time and experience and lessons. And it's just remembering that this is a really hard one, but it's all experience. Staying neutral. There's nothing good, there's nothing bad. It's all neutral. It all just is. And whether you're having a really tough or challenging time, it's experience for your soul. We came down here to experience, to learn. And this is a really tough assignment that we've chosen. To choose a human existence is a very tough assignment. Our souls are up there. We don't want to come back down. Maybe you've had a tough life the last time. I don't know if I want to go back and do that again, but there's something that we can really learn through this life, and we evolve and we transform. And what a way to feel it than through this, physical body, which seems so all-consuming at times.
If there's one thing that you've learned that you'd really like to tell listeners about, what would that be? If you could really share your wisdom or experience on a particular part of your work.
And we've talked a lot about the metaphysical, and we've discussed that a lot about energy. And I think that was the most catastrophic thing for me to learn, or transformative thing for me to learn, is that we're all energy. It's all energy. Every thought is energy. We are this vibration. Learning about the metaphysical realm was really, really big for me. But then really simple things that seem really small, like self-acceptance. A lot of my journey has been about self-acceptance. And a lot of what I've been through and kind of analysed and gone through and healed and worked on, it generally all comes back to that self-acceptance. And that can, seem really small, but that informs every way that you go about your life.
Yeah, so what I hear you saying is that there's self-acceptance, but also this understanding that your personality is your personal reality, that what you think is what comes into manifestation. And as Joe Dispenza says, something like 90% of your thoughts are repeated each day, and by the time you're late 20s, that's set.
70,000 thoughts a day, and 90% are just the same old shit going on a loop. You'll start to see that happening when you become aware. You start to see it and you're like, for God's sake, I'm so sick of, come on, like it bores you. But we're creating, we're creating with everything we think. That's why it's called spelling, because our words are a spell. Yeah, and there are things that are going on in this realm that we can't even wrap our heads around. How do you really wrap your head around these huge concepts? But yeah, that is exactly it, your personal reality.
Are there any specific practices or techniques that are doable that you could recommend to people?
I think breath work is incredible for how quick it works, for how easy it is to remember to do, for the fact that you don't need to be sat in a silent room alone to do it. And it works so quickly, rapidly changes your state. So there are some amazing breaths in Kundalini yoga. I mean, most of the exercises we do to a certain breath. There's a lot of pranayama. And the word pranayama, it just means breath work. But breath, what is breath? It is prana. It's your life force. It's your vitality. So if you focus on the breath, something as simple as the breath that we, ignore 90% of, or 99% of, sometimes 100% of each breath. If you think about what you're actually doing, you're drawing in life force, energy. So you can completely change your state of health by becoming aware of that. The way that you use your breath can either activate and revitalize the body and increase massively life force and pranic energy, or it can dull it down and inhibit. So you can do a 3-minute breath and feel completely revitalized in every cell. completely clear your brain, clean the blood really quickly, oxygenate the blood really quickly. But there's a really simple breath called alternate nostril breathing, where you block the right nostril, inhale through the left, and then block the left nostril and inhale long, slow breath through the right. Super easy to remember, but it brings you back into a state of balance. 1,000 times a day we're knocked off balance. You pick your phone up, you've got no control of what that WhatsApp message is going to say. You can be knocked off balance. We're knocked off balance all the time, energetically, emotionally, the information we're taking in, the people that we're around, a thought that you suddenly think, the brain doesn't know whether that thought is real or imagined. That can knock you off balance really, really quickly. So coming back to a very simple breath, inhale through the left, exhale through the right. And you can feel after 3 minutes, oh, you're in a real different state. You can feel the balance. You're reconnecting and reordering the two hemispheres of the brain so that they're now working together. They're not both firing off chaotically and having no conversation between each other. You then, rebalance the two hemispheres of the brain. The brain comes into a state of coherence just through a simple breath. You get back to a state where you can choose how you act rather than react to everything that's going on around you that we have no control over. No control over what's going on out there. We only have control of what is happening within us.
And I suppose we do to some extent control how easily we let it in. You and I have talked about, last year I got rid of WhatsApp from my mobile and email. We are in control as to whether or not we choose to engage in it, right? So we can, and I so think it's necessary that we must put in these spaces between us and the outside world and technology, right? So that we're in control of, now I'm going to engage and sit down on my computer. Now I'm going to look at the laptop, but I don't need it constantly being close to me. And I can't explain the magic of doing that, knowing, that WhatsApp is on my laptop, but there's something about the separation of having it at a distance. Our phone is so close, it's part of us, right? It sits in our pocket or it's in our handbag. It's so close, it's so invasive. But
Elon Musk said, everyone's saying that soon we're going to be half human, half robot. And he was like, we already are.
yeah.
We already rely on technology so heavily as a human.
Mm.
We already are a hybrid.
Mm.
And how wildly hard does it feel? What a big commitment. And you must have built up to that decision to take WhatsApp from your phone or get rid of your iPhone. Or that feels, I think it's crazy how wildly hard that feels to do that, because we're so reliant. We have that need to have it on our person. Or, okay, I'm going downstairs, I better take my phone. Isn't that crazy? And when you have an awareness of that and then choose to separate yourself from it, that's a really huge, huge thing and really hard thing for us to do.
I had 4 months, was it 4 or 5 months on a Nokia, which was a really interesting journey because I got several parking tickets and, all sorts of other things happen because when you don't have apps, you suddenly it's hard to engage in the world. So what I ended up, and there's no reception. So I found that I was standing with the Nokia next to the house phone. That's where I'd have a conversation. So it reminded me of the 90s when, the majority of the call is, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Really frustrating for everyone. So I had to get an old smartphone with nothing on it, which again just feels like it doesn't feel like the solution. So if anyone's got any better solutions, please let me know. But at least not having the email and at least not having WhatsApps, is helpful. Whatever basically can make it difficult to access, I think is a way forward. Because my husband jokes going, well, now you've got two phones, this just doesn't really work. But it's the fact that I've made it difficult for myself.
Yeah.
So when
You've created a separation.
exactly, and you make the habit hard. So I can't just pick it up and check, so I won't bother. And it's the fact that there is that distance, Charlene. It really, you notice how much kind of baseline anxiety I think we all have because we're constantly like, go, what next? Got to just do all this stuff. But actually, it doesn't matter if you don't answer. We've become so narcissistic that we think that our importance to respond immediately, that the world stops if we don't. It's okay. It really is okay not to respond immediately.
Oh God, yeah. I think the expectation to respond quickly, it builds the pressure. But even simple things like not having your phone next to your bed to charge, so that when you wake up in the morning, you don't go straight for your phone. I listened to an incredible thing the other day from this neuroscientist, and he's written a book called Dose. So he's using the initials DOSE. And the first one, it's talking about the chemicals of the brain and what the kind of modern way that we live in is affecting the chemicals of the brain, and how it's kind of creating more mental health issues. But um, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, having the knowledge of what these a phone is doing to your dopamine levels. So when you wake up in the morning, we grab straight for our phone, but overnight as you sleep, the brain is restoring your dopamine. So you've used it up from the day before. As you're sleeping, the brain is restoring your dopamine levels. So you wake up in the morning, and the information that comes in through your eyes from your phone is so quick. There's so much information, and it's also creates such an emotional reaction. Imagine dopamine in your brain as all these little bubbles that have just been reformed, and you're on your phone swiping through or doing whatever, and all those dopamine bubbles are bursting. So you're using up all the dopamine. So then you go through the rest of your day searching for the dopamine. But what the brain likes is effort, to strive, to hunt for your food before you eat it. There's an effort in building your house before you live in it. So the brain really likes effort and is rewarded by effort. But with the phone, there's no effort for this dopamine hit. You haven't had to do anything to get it. It just makes it really difficult then for the rest of your day to find things enjoyable
Mm.
because you have to work for it. So the dopamine was the first one. So the first thing in the morning, don't look at your phone. Give yourself at least just 5 minutes, even if it's really hard for you. Make your bed first, brush your teeth. Oxytocin, give yourself a compliment or some kind of reassuring statement of achievement that you've done from the day before, breeds oxytocin. Serotonin, go outside to brush your teeth. First thing in the morning, get some sunlight through your eyes. Serotonin, it will help with your circadian rhythm, it helps you sleep, but it's great for the immune system and just all round your brain feeling better. Endorphins, so DOSE, endorphins, sing. Singing requires a huge amount of effort. So singing is a perfect thing to do first thing in the morning because you're having to use your body, you're having to use a lot of things to make it happen. There's energy involved. The brain rewards you with endorphins, which endorphins de-stress the brain.
Mm.
The phone, I think just being aware of what is actually happening when you scroll for the first 20 minutes of your day, or when you reach for it constantly. Why am I reaching for it constantly all day? Okay, I spent the first 10 minutes on my phone. I've told my brain that that's where my dopamine is. So then it makes you addicted for the day. So if you can create that distance in the morning, don't look at your phone, get some sunlight through your eyes, sing. You're creating a steadier pace for the brain throughout the day. But yeah, I love that we have all of this information to use. It's out there now. We know this stuff. We can't be ignorant anymore. We know it. It's out there if you want to find out about it.
Yeah, it's just making those behavioral decisions to kind of unhook, or what is it that you need to do to just be aware of what's happening in your system, and to somehow let go, to somehow bring yourself back into a calm, regulated state, which Kundalini is so amazing for, as we started.
That's what it's all about. Just keep bringing yourself back. Noticing you've gone off, keep bringing yourself back. That will be your life's work. Keep coming back. You don't have to be in this state all the time. We're in this world. It's not possible. We're not in a cave in the Himalayas. Just got to keep bringing yourself back.
Mm. I remember a teacher or somewhere I read once, almost in meditation, imagining a line, and you've got this little kitten that runs off. Just put it back on, put it back
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just constantly get back on the line, but just noticing. And some days it's easier, right? You're in that flow, and you can just really stay with the breath, notice the thoughts or lack of thoughts. But it's a challenge, as you say. It's our life's work.
And I tell you what else is our life's work. It's just grounding. My teacher said to me, an amazing man, highly evolved being, he said to me, everybody wants to get to these epic states in Kundalini. There's a lot of focus on the pineal and the crown and the third eye. And we all want to get to these like cool, euphoric states where we're in another dimension. And that is all really cool stuff that is going on up there. But are you grounded? We could just spend our entire lives trying to ground the physical body, trying to ground your energy, and that could be your life's work. It's really hard to get to these states of ecstasy if you haven't got that foundation to bring you back down. And then it makes it actually quite, you don't really want to be in your body. You become quite addicted to those states, but you've got to make it comfortable for yourself to be in your body. Like being spiritual, it's innate in us. That's easy. Those states are easy because that's what we are. That's what we are of. That's where we've come from. We know that very well. We can navigate those states really easily. What we find really hard is how to be human. And that's what we're learning here on this planet, in this realm, in this 3D reality. It's how to be human. And Kundalini Yoga teaches you how to be human, how to use your breath, how to use the magic of the brain and the physical body. That's what we need to navigate and get better at. Being just a good human.
In harmony and in community, right? And I was thinking about, what's so wonderful about the work that you do, Charlene, is the community space that you create, and how important that is. The coming together in community, knowing that we are all connected, that it's in that space that we heal. And we've lost that, right, through individualism and our busy lives. We don't have that soulful connection to what we've talked about, to ourselves, but to our community and to the wider planet.
People are becoming so much more aware of that now, and they're coming to me for a class because that's what they need. They know that they need community. And yeah, we all need that so much. And I see that really play out when you do let's say you do yoga on your own, or a kriya on your own, or a meditation on your own. And then when you come to do it in a class, especially a Kundalini yoga class, the energy that happens in the room, it is just magic. It's palpable. And the states that you can get to and the healing that you can experience when you're doing it with a room of 10 other people, the emotions that you can release. And it's just a completely different ball game when you're in it as a collective consciousness, when everybody's energy is working together. And the way that everybody has been guided to that specific class to create a very specific energy that is needed. And one person was meant to come, but they were stuck in traffic, so they didn't make it, or they had to drop out last minute. It's all the design so that the energy is the perfect group consciousness that all those people in that room need. And on a retreat, let's say the retreats I run, there will always be a theme that everyone there connects to. There's always a theme that plays throughout these retreats, and everyone is guided and connected to that space for a certain purpose, to create a certain energy. Again, it's not in our control. It's not in my, I don't have to market myself and put myself out there and find students. You realign, you clear your vibration, and the people that can get any help from you will be drawn to you. The retreat plans itself, people will just turn up. You can't control these things, and we think we have to. But it's all, it will all be laid out for us. We have that help there. And we forget about that. We don't have to do everything on our own. It's
Yeah,
all
letting
there
go
to
of the
help
control.
us. Yeah.
Yeah. Charlene, what question have I not asked that you wish I had?
We've covered all of my favorite topics. I mean, I could happily talk to you for hours more about numerology, astrology, all of these, incredible topics. I think you've asked amazing questions.
It has been such a pleasure, Charlene. Thank you so much. It's just always so wonderful to talk to you, to be in your energy, and to be guided by your wisdom. I really, really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much. And just tell listeners, where can they hear more about you? Where can they find you?
My website is houseofkundalini.com. Or if you're interested in the Light Club, we've got the new website up and running. So it's the-lightclub.com. But just Google us, you'll find us. But yeah, I could sit and talk to you for hours more. And we could always just sit and chat for days, couldn't we? But yeah, thank you so much. What a lovely conversation. What a lovely way to spend a morning.
Oh, thank you so much, Charlene.
Thank you, Claire.
You've been listening to The Psychedelic Couch. For more episodes, please follow me on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you get your podcasts, and find me on Instagram at The Psychedelic Couch and at Claire Faulkner Therapy, where I will be keeping you up to date on the latest episodes and information surrounding all things therapy, psychedelics, and expanded states.